This is an instructional tape on how to apply the emotional freedom technique and energy psychology. These techniques come out of China and Asia and are 2,000 to 5,000 years old, and they use the same meridian theory base as acupuncture and acupressure. This is a disclaimer. Please use this at your own risk. Many issues require the guidance of a live psychotherapist or doctor. Anything on the internet is general and inadequate for all issues, and you may need to check this out to a live practitioner. If anything becomes overwhelming, please go to your local emergency room.
Hello, I'm Bilazarian. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a diplomat in energy psychology. And I want to show you the application of the emotional freedom technique in energy psychology. As with anything, they're my interpretations of all the great masters that came before me. The first thing you want to do is pick an issue that you're upset about. And so let's pick upset about a deadline at work. And we're going to rate that on a scale from 0 to 10, how upsetting that is to us. And so let's say as we think about it, it's a 7. We're going to go through it this time using this, but I recommend you come back and use your own issues later. What you want is the emotion and the issue. Now, we could say that the issue was being worried about work, but sometimes that's too big. And sometimes if we pick something that's too global, we have to narrow it down to its parts, sometimes called aspects. So we've decided that this issue about the deadline at work is bothering us on about a 7. And interestingly, we often feel it in our body, a tight throat, pressure in our chest, maybe some cricks in our neck and shoulders, and some people feel a tremendous amount of pressure in their stomach. So we're going to go through this. We're going to go through the acupoints, and we're going to use the wording at the same time. And that's essentially the 2 points of the emotional freedom technique, is the acupoints and the wording. So it looks like this. I'm okay, even though I'm worried sick about this deadline. Worried sick about this deadline. This is the reminder phrase, and we say it at every point. Worried sick about this deadline. Worried sick about this deadline, outer eye and under the eye. Worried sick about this deadline, and this is significantly light touch. Under the nose, worried sick about this deadline. Under the lip, worried sick about this deadline. And collarbone, worried sick about this deadline. Under the arm, about 4 inches below the armpit, worried sick about this deadline. Over to the gamut spot, worried sick about this deadline. And heart hold, worried sick about this deadline. Again, I'm okay, even though I'm worried sick about this deadline. Back to the top of your head. Worried sick about this deadline. Inner eyebrow, worried sick about this deadline. Some people are tapping, some people are massaging, and some people are using light touch. Outer eye, I deeply appreciate the light touch because it can be used inconspicuously if you find yourself in a jam in your supervisor's office because of a formal complaint or any other problem that you may have to address in a public forum. Under the eye, worried sick about this deadline. Under the nose, worried sick about this deadline. Under the lip, worried sick about this deadline. And collarbone, worried sick about this deadline. Under the arm, worried sick about this deadline. Up to that gamut spot again, worried sick about this deadline. And heart hold, worried sick about this deadline. One more time, and let's go a little slower. Worried sick about this deadline. Inner eyebrow, worried sick about this deadline. Outer eye, worried sick about this deadline. And under the eye, worried sick about this deadline. Under the nose, worried sick about this deadline. Under the lip, worried sick about this deadline. And collarbone, worried sick about this deadline. Most people do this in series of 3s, but you can do much more or you can do much less if you feel yourself needing more or needing less. Under the arm, worried sick about this deadline. Over to the gamut spot, worried sick about this deadline. And heart hold, worried sick about this deadline. So go back and take another rating based on 0 to 10, where 10 is the worst, and you're probably going to find that your ratings drop 2 to 4 points. My rating right now about this deadline is a 3. interesting, the tightness in my throat is gone, the pressure on my chest is gone, and I still feel a little bit through my shoulders, but not much. My stomach that was churning before has also quieted down, or maybe is a 1. So the technique is that you attach the wording, which is the emotion about the event, to these acupoints, go through them very slowly, and what happens is you desensitize yourself to the upset, both the emotional upset and the accompanying physical discomfort. Again, what happens at the end, which is very interesting, is you tend to have your own spontaneous insight. And your insight might be, I'll do the best I can on this deadline. I'll talk to my supervisor and get it pushed back because that's realistic. And the interesting thing is that the brain thinks much better when the brain is not boggled down by emotional distress. The technique again is called the Emotional Freedom Technique. I hope this will be the beginning of your journey. I want to give you some websites. Mine is robineft.net. But they're a bigger fish in the sea than I, and I invite you to look at eftuniverse.com, energypsych.org, and good luck.
To review, this is how you formulate the reminder phrase. You take the emotion about the issue. An example might be stressed out about the deadline. You repeat this while holding each of the acupoints for 1 breath or for a count of 7. Hopefully your light bulb has been turned on and you want it to glow further. Here are some websites. Mine is the first one, robineft.net. Good luck.